So Brooklyn took my advice. They hired a real coach. If you didn't know, Mike D'Antoni joined in Brooklyn as an assistant coach to Steve Nash. And I've been saying that Brooklyn needs an X and O coach for years. Well, not for years, since they began. Alright? This couldn't have been a better pickup for Brooklyn. You got the best offensive coach in the game for arguably the two most talented offensive players in the game. Not to mention Spencer Dinwiddie and Caris LeVert. Brooklyn got something special here, man. What system is gonna be run? Because even though D'Antoni is the most experienced, Nash is still the head coach, and he came up under Steve Kerr, which is basically Greg Popovich, right? So there's already a conflict of two interests right there. One coach is heavy ISO, one coach is ball movement. If I had to pick one, I would say the offense is going to be more ISO heavy because there's so many talented offensive players already. It's just natural. You got KD, Kyrie, LeVert, Dinwiddie. It's just natural. It's going to come naturally. Can they find a mix between the two? Can they come up with a mix between heavy ISO and heavy ball movement? Which is basically what the Clippers were this year. They were a mix of both. But they didn't have a true point guard who can run the offense when it's time to run the offense. And for Brooklyn, they have one. But it's not Kyrie. For me, when it's time to make a play, I'll give the ball to Spencer Dinwiddie. He's a great playmaker. I don't think Kyrie is that Chris Paul type of point guard, the Rajon Rondo type of point guard. Kyrie's a scorer. That's what he does. He's a point guard because he's 6'3". He just has to. Obviously, with the Clippers, their system failed them because it was Kawhi or nothing. It was off-ball screens, passing to one end, the other end, Kawhi, Paul George, ISO. Now in Brooklyn's case, KD and Kyrie are a better ISO players than Kawhi and Paul George. So it's not going to be an issue with them. But if it does, Dinwiddie is the guy to slow down the offense. So that's offensively. But what about defensively? Let's assume the starting lineup right now is Kyrie, Dinwiddie, KD, Taurean Prince, and Jared Allen. And Prince, who is very versatile defensively. But even with those guys, is that one of the best defensive teams even in the East? Probably not. Even with guys like Allen and Prince. Another thing is they don't have a defensive-minded coach. Because basketball is two ways. Similar to Clippers, you can have a bunch of offensive players and not have it fit. You can also have a bunch of defensive players and not have it fit. Such as Philadelphia, for example. So who's the defensive-minded coach on the team? Who's going to make the adjustments in any given series defensively? They're gonna have to get somebody. Because if they get the Lakers and they got Dwight and AD, and then they start the second quarter with Morris and AD, and then they start the third with Kuzma 80, then they start the fourth, LeBron at the 5, AD at the 4, who's gonna make those adjustments on the spot? Now you look at Brooklyn's bench, which can rival the Clippers bench. You got Caris LeVert, Joe Harris, and DeAndre Jordan are the main guys off the bench. If you have a team let's say you have a team, and Spencer and Caris LeVert, Joe Harris, and DeAndre Jordan are your best players. That team can make the playoffs in the East. If those are your 3 best guys, that team can make the playoffs in the East. Win 35 games at least. So if you look at the star duo, because that's what the NBA is about now, dynamic duos. What will KD be when he gets back? This is what people are missing. OKC KD was better than Golden State KD. Golden State KD was deferring to Steph when he was averaging 26 and 27 points per game. So what I'm getting at is KD can come back at his Golden State level, which wasn't his highest level. He can come back to earth, to that Golden State KD. So can Golden State KD and Kyrie win a championship? Yeah. If it can, I mean, I'm not really on this Brooklyn hype train with people saying that they'll coast to the finals. Philadelphia is a serious threat. I believe the Nets would beat the Bucks in 5 games. Celtics 5 games. But Philly with Embiid, there is not a soul in the league that can stop Embiid when he's healthy. Nobody. You can't name somebody in the league right now. I mean AD, but there's a reason AD doesn't want to bang in the post. There's a reason he wants to play power forward. And especially if Philly pulls off this Harden trade. If you watch my last video, I talked about it. Kobe Shaq Part 2. A watered down version of Kobe Shaq. 2021 is going to be a crazy season, man. Mike D'Antoni is a great pickup for the Nets. They finally have a real coach. Finally. If you like the video, check out my last video. I'm trying to be consistent with my posting. Hopefully it starts to pick up soon. Without further ado, I got a new NBA news page. One on Facebook, one on Instagram, and one on Twitter under STT Sports. If you want to get updates on NBA news, anything like that, check those out on all the platforms. And with that being said, have a good day.